Hi everyone, it's Paul Ward here and welcome to another edition of Farm Talk. I'm very excited today. We're out in Fillmore, California at a renowned nursery operation, Otto Sons Nursery. And our guest is the proprietor owner, Scott Klittich. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This will be
of course,
fun.
You and your wife, Cindy, are the owners of this fine operation.
Yes, we are.
And of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Opus, Escrow, and the Money Store. So Scott, tell us a little bit about Otto Sons.
Well, Otto Sons Nursery began as my dad was a landscape contractor in the San Fernando, Los Angeles Valley. When you do a little landscaping, you always pull a few plants out and save them for the next job. First he had a half acre, then an acre, then 2 acres in Chatsworth, and then we sold that and eventually bought this piece up here. It's almost 40 acres up here in Fillmore.
Wow, and is all 40 acres planted in roses?
Probably about 28 of it is in roses right now. We just took out an additional 10 acres of Valencia orange trees. Valencia oranges don't make money.
Right.
Nursery makes money. So we're going to, we pulled those trees out. Eventually we'll get them burned and we'll get that area graded, irrigated, gravel. But that's a probably next year project.
When you walk around, it's mid-November and it looks like it could be April or May. It's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Every rose bush is blooming. Every other plant is blooming. I got to ask, what's your secret?
You know, spring is always a big bloom time because the plants are dormant in the winter time. They've been trimmed back generally. It's been cold and wet, hopefully, and they come out with spring looking beautiful. Then summer comes along and it's hot and it's dry and they can't hide in the air conditioning like we can, so they suffer out there and they kind of go into summer dormancy at that point. But then fall, when you get the cool nights and warm days, they just burst right back on out like a spring bloom. In the garden here, we add nutrients to our water. They're all on drip irrigation, so they all get their water that way. We adjust the pH, give them the nutrients they need. We see an issue, we spray for it to control any pests because we want to make it look nice. So it just takes care.
For the home gardener that might not be able to run fertilizer through the irrigation system, do you have any
There's
tricks?
a number of ways. There's a number of fertilizers that provide a long-term fertilizer nutrient source. Most of them are, the one we have here in the shop is a 3-month fertilizer, so it adds nutrients slowly over that time, so you only have to apply it like 3 times a year.
Okay.
So it's pretty convenient in that sense, and that's a great way to do it.
The variety of roses seems to be endless. How many varieties are out there?
Out there, we carry about 700 or 800 varieties.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
700 or 800. I think there's actually probably 10,000 varieties out there in the world.
Okay.
But there's and then there's those in the marketplace are about 700, 800, generally speaking. If one of our vendors carries the rose, we carry the rose.
And are roses divided into types? I mean,
different classes. There's the hybrid tea you're probably most familiar with, which is a single flower on a single stem like you'd get from a florist. The Grandifloras have large flowers, but generally those are multiple flowers on a single stem. Floribundas have multiple flowers again, but they're smaller and mostly spread out throughout the plant on short stems, kind of like a bouquet. Floribundas are my favorites because I think they're more, they bloom a lot more profuse. The hybrid teas are classic for a vase.
right.
You know, and so there's those are 3 main classes, but also there's a shrub category. Within the shrub category is the English roses, or the David Austin roses specifically. That is actually a new class. It was created, gosh, probably 30 years now ago. In that David Austin, a rose breeder out of England, took the Floribundas, which I do like, and he took the old varieties, which have great perfume, great fragrance. And he did a lot of crossing to get new varieties that have good fragrance and repeat bloom, and very popular right now, the David Austins.
So if I'm walking around and, I've got some space in my yard and I'm a little bit overwhelmed just because there are so many beautiful varieties, how do I know what's gonna fit in that space? I mean, they're all kind of relatively small when they're sitting in the pot, but they could grow 1 foot, they could grow 6 feet.
That's right. No, you've got fortunately at the nursery here, we have signage on all the varieties. It'll tell you how large they get. We have the display garden behind us here, which you actually can come look at it and say, that's perfect for me. stick your nose in the flower, because that's like the first thing people always want to do is to smell the fragrance and see if that catches them. And so that's a good way. Or research. We have a great website. On our website, you can go through and sort by, you can filter by hybrid teas, white color, strong fragrance, strong disease resistance. It'll give you actual physical lists then that you could print off of varieties that fit that criteria, and then come on out here and look at the varieties and see if they're actually what you're hoping for.
And then I saw that you've got something called Rose Care University. What's that all about?
Rose Care University, we've started that, gosh, it's probably 15 years now, I suppose, maybe even longer than that, maybe 20 years by now. And it's a class we do in January. We do this same class for 2 hours every Saturday in January. Myself or my sons will run it, and we teach people how to prune roses in the wintertime.
Okay.
So it's a little more skill needed, because you're taking something that's in bloom or whatever, it's like 5 feet tall, and you're cutting it down. And by cutting it down, you're you're cleaning up the branches, allowing it to have more airspace, more gives you better disease resistance, and it's healthier for the plant. Then you get that spring bloom. So we do a 2-hour class on that. We cover all the different classes of roses, the hybrid teas, Grandiflora, Floribunda, shrubs. We do climbers, we do tree roses.
Wow.
And each time the process is almost the same on all of them,
Okay.
but it's a different shape. So we do that. And generally we have anywhere from 60 to 100 people at each class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we
Wow.
charge a little bit for it.
Sure.
We give a little coupon for them to come back and buy something if they want. But it's a fun thing we do.
And if somebody's not local, because our audience is getting pretty broad, how can folks learn more if they're not
Well, with
here?
COVID, we were really proactive in that we actually put a bunch of videos online.
Okay.
Not of the class, but we took and did like a 10-minute, 15-minute video of each one in the garden here. We'd trim it back and show people on the video how to do it. And I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, I saw you on the video. I watched it 4 or 5 times. It was really helpful
Right.
to be able to know what to do and describing where to cut and how to cut." And so that's a good place to go there. But come to the class. The class is fun. We have a good time with it.
Sure. Well, you're learning from other folks.
Yeah.
Good questions.
A lot of
too.
enthusiasm.
Yeah. And you've got other events.
We do. We do Tomatomania in March. We'll do that. That's where our good friend Scott Daig comes in with his Tomatomania crew, and we host it. They come in with usually 100 varieties of seedling tomatoes.
Okay.
And lay them all out there alphabetically, and people can go and pick and choose and look at the tags and see what they want and get fun ones, black ones, purple ones, red ones, of course, orange ones, big ones, small ones, tiny ones. Yeah, just quite an assortment. So that's a fun event.
And they'll teach you how to plant them and
They'll show you how to plant them and what kind of mix to use and where to put them.
Okay.
And if you're on the coast, maybe there's some varieties you do better on the coast. Some varieties do better inland. You wouldn't think that, but tomatoes are different that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then you've got something coming up where you can actually pick roses for free. Is that?
Yeah,
the thing?
on the day before Thanksgiving, we call it our Thankfulness sale. And we invite our customers to come out to the rose garden behind us and go through and harvest roses, one bucket per person.
Okay.
To come on out and collect roses for their Thanksgiving table. And we've done it for 2 years now. Overwhelming success. People are very happy with it, making their tables look that much more beautiful for Thanksgiving for the families.
That's
so
great.
That's a fun thing.
That's a nice giving back to the community event.
Yeah. There's no charge for it.
Oh, wow.
We just ask you to come on in, bring a bucket, bring your own clippers. We ask you to stop by a station so we can sterilize your clippers when you come in, so you're not bringing something from your garden to our garden. And but no, it's a fun time. A lot of enthusiasm. People talking about to each other. Perfect strangers taking up conversations. Yeah,
Right.
it's nice.
Very cool. And you're also known for your fruit trees. It's not just roses.
That's right. Right. We do specialize in fruit trees and also perennials.
Okay.
The fruit trees we have, I think there's probably 200 varieties when you include things like rhubarb and artichokes, and there's like 10 varieties of blueberries and different, raspberries. Of course, we have apples and peaches, nectarines, all kinds of stone fruits like that. We have citrus, a good selection of citrus, avocados. So yeah, we have a really good selection of fruit trees.
And you're not exactly in a high traffic location. I mean, you're off the beaten path.
We
Fillmore
are.
is a small town. You're a few miles out of town.
Yes.
But yet people still flock to this location.
It's we started doing roses, and I think I'm pretty sure we are the largest grower of roses west of the Rockies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
no
wow.
one else does a selection or variety that we do.
Oh, that's impressive.
And people come. We've got some customers that come from Phoenix, some from Las Vegas, We've had some people come from Oregon. They'll drive down, visit family, come back here, pick up their plants and take them back home with them. And it's kind of fun to hear the different people doing that. The first time I heard it, I was like, are you crazy? That's a long way to go. But people are passionate about roses.
Yeah.
There is a passion there of the fragrance, the smell. It just draws people in. And yeah.
Well, and your variety is incredible. I mean, you've got variegated petals, different colored petals.
Sure.
On the same bush.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Say different kind of striped ones. You know, so striped ones are always a unique thing that only certain people like it or they hate it.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like that way. The fragrance is always what keys people into roses, and one way to check on fragrance, because your sense of fragrance is different than mine, different than theirs, and because the fragrance is actually the oil that the plant produces, and as the oil evaporates during the day because of the warm weather, you're smelling the fragrance, but by evening it's gone. So if you do go and trim roses, trim them in the cool part of the day, and then bring them in and keep them well hydrated in some water and in a cool place. Refrigerator, of course, would be the best. But that helps to keep it. And I've had people say, well, my husband can't smell this. It's usually the husband can't smell it. And it's just a sense of fragrance that each of us has that's unique.
Now, for the novice who comes and appreciates what you have, but is a little bit overwhelmed, but wants to get something.
Yeah.
What would be kind of that one rose that everyday rose that would be kind of hardier than the others that you would say they'd appreciate the most?
The one rose that we sell the most of actually is called Iceberg. It's the number one rose in California. We sell like 25,000 of that one variety, which is by far more than anything else. Because with Iceberg, you don't plant just a single rose. You plant 6 or a dozen or 100 because you're putting along a pathway or a walkway or a driveway or a fence line. And it's a white rose. It's a Floribunda, the kind I like. And it blooms profusely. It's got a nice kind of apple scent to it. It's not one for bringing into a vase per se. The flowers don't last a long time in a vase, but it's just very prolific in the garden. I say it's municipality friendly. So that people that have cities that are taking care of roses in public areas, the maintenance guys can whack it back, and it comes back real well. It's just a hardy plant, and
they might not be the best pruner too. Right? They're just using an electric hedger. And
they're on a time clock. Right. They're getting it done and getting out of there. So it's a good all around rose for that. Now, once you get past that, I'd say, what's your favorite color? You know. And I'll direct them to the purples or the pinks or the reds or fuchsia or whatever tone that they're looking for, and it's kind of go with your personal flavor of color that you like, and the style. Whether it's that's why the rose garden's nice because you can kind of look and see. Well, like this one back behind us, not a lot of petals on it, right? But it's a lot of flowers, and some over here are more of the hybrid tea type that are blooming profusely. So it comes down to each person's personal interest, what they like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we are in citrus country. Yeah. And you do grow and sell different varieties of citrus.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Citrus are there's more citrus planted in people's landscape than there is commercial citrus in California.
Really? So if you took every house in California,
every house, and everybody's got an orange tree or a lemon tree or a lime tree or kumquat, every house has a tree. And so you add all those up, it's more than the citrus trees are grown in California.
Well, that's incredible.
Yeah. So, you're in California, you gotta have a citrus tree, right?
Of course.
And we have a nice selection of that. Oranges, both the Valencias, the Washington Navels. We have Bear's lime, the Mexican lime that's good for bartending. That one's good. A really good selection of citrus.
And what's the key on soil with that? Just if you just bought a tree and you're gonna stick it in the ground.
Fortunately, citrus is not real picky. I would say the biggest thing with citrus is winter temperatures. You don't want to freeze. If you get to below 30, 32, you're going to have some damage on the foliage and possibly the fruit too, depending on how cold it gets. Right. So that's going to be a concern for where you're at. So if you're inland, someplace where it gets cold, below 32, you're going to have issues like that. Contrary, like grapefruit won't do well at the coast because they want the heat.
Oh, interesting.
So you got to be someplace warm enough, but not too cold. So Santa Clarita is a great place for growing grapefruit. Plenty of heat. Cold's marginal, you'll be okay most of the times. So that's citrus. And the soil type, they're not real particular about soil. Biggest thing is they should be in full sun.
Okay.
It's hard to put it between two houses. That doesn't get 4 hours of light won't cut it for you.
Right.
But they like their nutrients, like all of us like to get fed, right? And so got to keep your nutrients up. And
is that quarterly or?
It depends on the product you're using, whichever fertilizer you have. It'll say on the bag. I always encourage people to go to the bag and see what it recommends for us, how often and how much. Because the bigger the tree, of course, the more nutrients you'll need.
And you've got a lot of perennials.
We do a lot of perennials. I brought my son in he graduated from college 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. 3 years now. He was a college graduate during COVID, so no ceremony, just kind of bye. Right. And so anyway, we brought him in, and he's really taken a handle of our perennials. We have over 100 varieties of perennials, lavenders, lantana, a lot of things that go well with roses. Just different colors, different. A lot of them drought tolerant, so they'll do well with a lack of water.
Are you finding a lot of people? Speaking of that, a lot of people are kind of going in the direction of succulents.
A lot of people do go to succulents, and we don't do any succulents.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
We don't no succulents at all, and succulents are a good thing for texture, right? And for the no water or little water gardens,
right? But there are still tricks that you can do with regular plantings.
Oh yeah. For perennials, the drip irrigation is a key on most of that, and also a nice thick layer of mulch. Drip irrigation puts the water where it needs to be. You're not getting on the sidewalk or the patio or where it doesn't need to go, so you're putting it where it needs to be. And then the
right mulch?
The right mulch. Nice thick layer of mulch, thank you. Nice thick layer of mulch.
Right.
Yeah, 3 to 4 inches.
Oh, that much?
Yeah, if you're just putting down this much, you're not doing anything but making it aesthetically pleasing.
Interesting.
You want 3 to 4 inches, a nice big layer.
Okay.
Because your soil biology will break that down, which adds nutrients to your soil. It does a number of things. It reduces weeds, because weeds can't, you might get weeds coming in there, but they're easy to pull because they can't get established well in that layer of mulch. Holds the moisture, reduces temperature, which is really important in the hot summers.
Do you water less then? I mean, you water less frequently?
You would water less because of the mulch would do that. You have to get the mulch saturated to start with, so you're starting with a good profile with moisture in there. But once it's wet, you'll be watering less.
Okay.
Yeah. And we put all of our drip lines on the dirt with mulch on top of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So maybe you're saving 25%, you think?
I think it's actually more. I think I've seen studies where it's close to a third.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And you've got other acres and acres of roses that are not necessarily where the public
Right. Our
goes.
primary business is wholesale to retail garden centers.
Oh, really?
Landscapers, building contractors.
So if folks are not local, they can find your product
at other,
other retailers.
Yeah.
What are some of those retailers?
Armstrong Garden Centers. They're one of our good customers. They're from San Diego up to up to Thousand Oaks, I guess, as far north they go. But I think they have 20 stores.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're throughout. The Green Thumbs purchase from us. They're in our area also. A lot of independent garden centers that buy things. So yeah, and architects and landscapers coming through and collecting things for their jobs. We had a delivery day going to Kelly Clarkson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
That's fun.
Yeah. So we have Barbara Streisand. She's come through here, and there's actually a rose named Barbara Streisand. So she came in and she says, "How's my rose? How's my rose doing?" It was pretty fun.
And can folks go online and find you online?
Yeah, online, Otto Sons Nursery, OttoSonsNursery.com, and you'll find us there and where we're at and what we do, and whole great website. We really done put a lot of work into it.
And you're doing other filming events and other things like that now. You're dabbling in that. Yeah,
in our garden we've had a couple of things. IKEA came through. They were doing a filming for music around the world. They did a filming in, I guess, an artist down in Argentina and Denmark and Germany. And they came to our place, too. They had a reggae guy coming. I don't even know the artist's name. But he came, 100 people, all putting the production together. He came out for a day and a half and set everything all up. And it was kind of fun. We had another artist. It was Guess Jeans came on out.
Okay.
And they had 2 models that had them set up on one of our walls here and taking pictures of them, and they were all showing their jackets off and stuff. It was kind of fun to see that stuff. But we don't do any weddings here, but we do. We've had 4-H clubs do meetings. We have Rotary groups come in. Garden clubs have come in. We have a gal who does a painting class, a little watercolor class. She comes in and does a little class for people. So small things like that. We had one bridal party that got married in Moore Park, about a half hour away. Came through here, and they all got in front of the fountain and took pictures of everybody, and then they went to Fillmore for their reception. So,
Very cool.
So that was kind of fun.
They got the roses in the background.
That's right. Yeah.
So if I was to pick out 3 or 4 roses to take back to my home garden, or maybe a citrus tree or a fruit tree, how would you assist somebody with making sure that they're off to a good start?
Oh, we have a really nice garden shop we have set up, and it's open Wednesday through Saturday, 8 to 4. We have full-time staff in there, and they can certainly help you decide what fertilizer, how to plant. We have handouts for how to plant. We have handouts for the different fruit trees, for just explaining what to do and how to plant them. Blueberries are kind of unique. They need a little extra care. We can certainly educate people on what that needs to be. Of course, there's all kinds of gift items. My wife likes to go shopping along with one of the gals in the shop there, and they collect things that are fun, fun gift items for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or just general fun gardening things. Yeah, we have fountains over there, mulches, things for planting in. We have tools, with shovels, rakes, the typical things you see, pruners. Yeah. How can I think things there that would help you to be successful in your garden? That's the goal. We want you to be successful.
Yeah, and the last thing you want is to buy a plant and then it doesn't do well.
Generally speaking, people have problems. Either they water too much or they don't water enough.
I've also heard that sometimes nurseries, if they bring plants in from other regions, I mean, your plants are all grown here locally, so they're familiar with our weather, right? But if you bring a plant in from Oregon or Washington, you might not be surprised when it doesn't do well.
That really has been an issue mostly with fruit trees in the box stores. The home office will order fruit trees for coast-to-coast stores. And California's unique, and then we have low chilling requirements. So you can't get a high chilling variety like a Macintosh apple will not fruit here.
Interesting.
And so you need to get things that are more will grow well in our area, and the guy back east doesn't know our situation because he's buying for the whole country.
Right.
So that's why the independent garden centers are the way to go, because they know the local location, they know the area, they know what to buy, they find out where you live, and they can recommend something, or we can recommend something for you to plant in your yard that you'll be successful with.
That's a really, really good point.
Yeah.
So we're located here outside of Fillmore in the east end of Ventura County, and is this isn't really known as a rose region, right? It's more historically been citrus.
Historically been citrus. When we first moved here back in the 1980, 79, somewhere in there, it was all citrus. The whole valley was citrus. No avocados, no nurseries. We were it. And my dad who found the area, really found a good area that has a good climate. The temperature is good as far as the wintertime. Does get a little hot in the summertime, but that can be managed. And then the water is plenty of water where we're at. A lot of places in Ventura County have challenges with water. Our whole valley, fortunately, gets water from the top of the Grapevine to top of Canyon Country. All these hills, all these mountains around here, all flow right down through this river valley here, and that recharges our groundwater, which is really important. We have 2 wells that's where we get our water from.
The aquifer actually is pretty high out here.
Yes, yeah, it's good. And they say it recharges easily because it's a lot of sand, of sand and gravel, so it holds that water there. As you get further and further towards the coast, you have more challenges. And a lot of farmers are having challenges out that way for sure.
Yep.
But it's a beautiful valley, and since we moved here, there's dozens of nurseries that have moved here. A lot of them were in the San Fernando Valley and Los Angeles area and power line properties, and they got booted out for price issues there and bought property out here. It's a good growing area, and a lot of nurseries have found that to be. And over time, the citrus, there's not much money in citrus,
Right.
and it's all changed to avocados or row crops. Those are the 2 higher value crops a lot of the growers are going to change things out for. Okay.
So what do you see the future of nurseries as?
I think the future is bright. I see people, especially with COVID, people got a chance to, actually they were locked in their homes really, right? So they got the chance to work in their own gardens. And a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of brand new gardeners came into the gardening, business, I suppose, and went to the nurseries. Nurseries had the best years ever during COVID.
Interesting.
Because everybody in construction, anybody that home improvement industry area, all had really good financial years. And so I think we've created a lot of good gardeners. Hopefully they were successful gardeners. And I think they'll be looking to continue that, to make their own little oasis at their home and enjoy the outdoor living that brings them. So I think in the valley itself, water will be a concern. There's always pest issues on the horizon that are a concern. Regulations are always there.
Right.
And,
those aren't going away.
But yeah, they're not going away. But there's, but it's farming, right? You always have water issues, labor issues, regulation issues. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years. We had those 40 years ago.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, it's just farming, and you deal with the weather. It gets too cold. It gets too hot. It's always something. But we're farmers. We enjoy what we do.
Well, that's important, right?
We're passionate.
You got to
right?
enjoy what you do.
Got to enjoy what you do. I enjoy getting up in the morning, getting out here, and even though I'm in the office a lot now, I still like to get out and see what's going on. And it's really a fun career, and I think a lot of people enjoy doing it. And to see customers come in, and just the enthusiasm they have when they come see this and load their cars up and hear the successes and bringing their kids and grandkids out here, it's really nice.
Right. And we seem to have a lot of more small farmers now, right? It's not just your big corporate folk. It's a lot of people want to just kind of get back to the land and back to nature, and COVID kind of brought a lot of people to this area that never thought about it. Now you can work at home, right? You don't have to do the crazy commute every day. So a lot of people are trying to kind of get back to the land. Yeah,
get back to make their yard again their oasis. They're trying to make it a special spot for them. And where we're at, we're a half hour from Ventura or Santa Clarita, or an hour from Dodger Stadium. So it's a good spot to be at. And there's a lot of people that can come out here and enjoy and find something they like.
Well, Scott Klittich, thank you so much for being our guest on this edition of Farm Talk. We've loved having you.
Well, thank you, Paul. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Opus, Escrow, and the Money Store. Be sure to tune in next time for another edition of Farm Talk.